Welcome to the Prime Debate. India will carry out its first caste census in 80 years. This a decision that could define how political parties campaign for votes. More caste-focused political players will emerge to meet the demands of each caste. Certainly, the census will complicate Indian politics and divide the country further. The caste census is on. The contentious and often divisive debate over enumerating caste may linger, but the Union Cabinet has bit the bullet, deciding to hold a caste-wise head count.
It is official now. The country will have its first caste census in 80 years to be conducted over 4 months between June and September next year. The Cabinet has given its nod for a stand-alone caste census, reasoning that a separate exercise will ensure accuracy and avoid duplicacy in counting that could arise if it was linked to the ongoing census.
A separate house-to-house enumeration of caste will be done during the period June 2011 to September 2011. It will depend in each state upon the monsoon and other things, but this is the period, June, July, August, September. In that 4-month period, there will be a separate enumeration of the caste of the respondents.
The Cabinet decision comes in the backdrop of demands from almost all parties to have such a caste head count. The decision has been welcomed by the parties like Rashtriya Janata Dal and Samajwadi Party, who sought to take credit. Both had disrupted proceedings in Parliament while demanding a caste census. The Bharatiya Janata Party, however, feels the exercise should not have been de-linked from the census operations.
How the caste census will change the political face of India? To discuss this in our studios, we have Professor S.L. Sharma, Professor of Sociology, PU, Chandigarh. We have Professor Ronki Ram, who is also from Political Science, PU, Chandigarh. Professor Manjeet Singh, Director, Centre for Study of Social Exclusion, PU. Arshad Khan, Social Worker, Chandigarh. Also, we are joined by Managing Editor of Day and Night News, Mr. Kanwar Sandhu. Well, so to begin the debate, I would like to first ask you this question. It's been 80 years since the census is going to be, now get into the government. Do you think it's under political pressure that they've gotten here?
Well, Nimrit, it looks like a decision under pressure, because if you notice, when the government initially decided for the census, they decided a normal census, as we have been having every year. Then certain parties started demanding a caste inclusion of caste also in the census. RJD, Samajwadi Party, and some other parties. And if you notice, the BJP initially resisted the demand. But finally, I think they also gave in, and by the time the BJP agreed, I think the Congress and the government realized that almost all parties were in favor of including caste in the census. So to some extent, yes, one can say that it is a kind of a decision under political pressure.
Yeah.
But I think since we have experts with us, including Professor Sharma from the Sociology Department, maybe we should ask him, Professor Sharma, do you think it's a census, it's a decision which is a sensible decision?
Well, it's as a matter of fact late in the day to raise this question, because once the decision has been taken, more important thing is to consider as to how it is going to be made, so that we are able to have the gains of it without really incurring the dangers that are involved in it. But in any case, responding to the question that you have posed, personally I feel much will depend on what we make use of it, what we do with it, because as far as information on caste composition of India is concerned, it has got to be noted that India is about caste, that caste represents vital structure of Indian society.
Absolutely.
And that we cannot really ignore this reality, structural reality of our society. And in the light of that, if we collect information on caste, well, even as it has dangers of its own, many potential dangers as well as many ill-conceived dangers. However, now that we have decided on it, to me it seems that more important question would be as to how do we go about it.
So at this point of time, I think it's no use talking about whether it should have been done or not. It's the decision which is taken now. So I think we need to go further from that.
Precisely.
Now here is a sociologist's view. Professor Ronkiram, as a political scientist, a lot of us are intrigued by the fact as to why was it discontinued 80 years ago. I think the last such census, which included caste count also, was I think in 1930-31.
Yeah. In fact, this is not 80 years. If we can see on caste, something very, very unique has happened over here. It was a part of the society. So much had gone, on this issue. Nobody raised this issue. Then suddenly in 1931, the issue was raised. And then there was a lot of hue and cry. What will happen to this? Why did they do it? People have accused the Britishers doing it, trying to politicize caste. They said we didn't do it. It was there. We tried to just enumerate it. And they tried to do it because this is the permanent part of a society, as Professor Sharma Sahab has said. Then why to hide it? Till the date, it's the basic main caste as an identity. If you find any ingredient of identity in India, it's a caste. People will try to go to the extent, even for many, many months, if not months, then even years, to find to which caste particular person belong to.
And I think to some extent, Professor Ronkiram, even the government encourages it, because when they ask you to fill up forms, even if you're applying for a job, I think they ask you as to what religion you're from and if you belong to the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes and things like that are mentioned.
Because that was there partly due to because there is a provision in the called affirmative action, state affirmative action. You try to give a discriminatory justice. You want to make them the unequal equal. So you have on this account. So they will ask him. But I want to say is that something it's there in the socio-cultural context of the country. Caste is something important. Although somebody trying to say that I'm above caste, but think about that. If you're above caste, then what you are?
Absolutely. Now tell me, when we go in for a head count on caste lines, is there a very strong chance that a lot of statistics could change, in the sense that we now know that approximately this is the number of the backward classes, this is the number of the scheduled tribes and so on?
Number game would change, but I would like to draw your attention. The caste census is going to be done at a time when already the world over there's a lot of talk about caste in India. Recently in the London, the bill is passed, the House of Lords, the equity bill. And they tried to relate caste with the race. Durban conference, so those international conferences also. So there's a lot of due to the diasporic intervention. Okay. So at this moment, if in India the caste has come, I think Indian government did the right thing to say, okay, just we had a caste, no, let's count it. So if on this account, it's okay. But now if you want to play politics on it, it will be different dimension altogether. But definitely there would be thing on the record. Everybody in the village, everybody in the corner, everybody in the street knows
absolutely.
Caste. So there. You can't hide it. Caste is given.
I remember Professor Ronkiram, I remember once when Mr. Jijiman Ram was alive, somebody actually asked him that, do you think, this caste system, the reservation should continue? So he made a very interesting remark. He says, whether you do away with it, people still know who everybody is. That's a remark. It came from Jijiman Ram himself, who belonged to the backward class.
I can just say with small note, caste is a public issue. It's not a private. Since caste is a public issue in India, so nobody can hide it, because had it been somewhere, religion you can say still private, you can worship in camera, but caste is not there. Caste is given to you. You are born in caste, you die in caste. If you try to be out of caste, it's a good thing. You try to be out of caste, but public you are not.
You don't have much of an option. Yeah. Professor Manjeet Singh, now you had a very interesting department. The very name says Center for Social Exclusion. What exactly is the center all about?
It's about that there are certain people by caste they are socially excluded. They are at the margin of society. So basically,
so I think then you are just the person to be discussing this. Now I want to ask you that when we asked for a caste census, do you think we need to go beyond that and kind of link it with some kind of an economic status of people at the same time?
See, first of all, to think of that there's a caste is included in census. It was always there, but it's only limited to scheduled caste, scheduled tribes. The real purpose, original purpose of including scheduled caste and scheduled tribes was to empower them, so that there is a policy which is targeted at them, and that policy benefits directly to them. I have made an analysis of certain tribes. If this has not happened, you know, for the last 63 years after that reservation, why there should have been Naxalism in tribal belts?
Right.
Why they have been removed? How many Dalits in Punjab have actually benefited out of that reservation? Everybody knows, and there's internal quarrels within the Dalits on the basis of caste.
Yes, some kind of a churning process is on within the
So what
sections.
I am bringing home the point, our leaders, our state is not sincere and serious about the really upliftment. There's just minimum wage. How many minimum is, what is minimum? It is just not to even bare minimum survival, and half the workers, more than half the workers, they are not getting even minimum wage. Forget about the employment. So I think if state is really sincere and honest and wants to empower those people who are socially at the margin, economically at the margin, then